Well, let's focus on the aviation space now. The domestic passenger traffic in FY24 saw a 13% year-on-year growth. ICRA put out a note where they said that there's a stable outlook in the Indian aviation industry and they expect relatively stable cost environment in FY25 as well. To discuss how FY25 is looking for the sector, we are joined by Mayur Milak, who's the Senior Research Analyst at Asian Market Securities, and Jagannarayan Padmanabhan, who is the Senior Director and Global Head Transport, Mobility and Logistics Consulting at CRISIL Market Intelligence. So, gentlemen, morning to both of you. Jagannarayan, I want to start with you because, it has been a very healthy growth that this sector has seen, but it's also come with its own fair share of problems in the recent past. What is the outlook in FY25 for the aviation sector, given how travel and tourism is booming now?
Yeah, so I'll split this into two parts. One is in the summer part of it, which is the summer schedule, and then the overall growth for the FY25 part of it. So on the domestic passenger traffic part of it, we expect a growth of about 8 to 12% year on year in the summer schedule. And for the fiscal 2025, the domestic passenger traffic is expected to rise by about 12 to 15%. This is because of the supply issues getting eased out, and also we see a lot of additional capacity which is coming into the system later part of the year. And the travel sentiments across leisure, MICE, and the business is also pretty good. On the international part of it, on the summer schedule, we expect about a growth of about 10 to 12%. And also, this is going to be aided by a 15% growth across all major airlines. So that's the overall focus that we are having for summer schedule and for the overall FY 2025.
Okay, got it. So that's the overall setup of how, growth would be, right? You're saying there's an 8 to 12% growth in the domestic passenger traffic segment that you're looking at in the summer schedule. And you gave us the full year numbers as well. But recently, we've seen massive flight cancellations from Vistara and all the troubles because of what's happening there. What do you think the ramifications of this would be on the industry, both in terms of growth and the other incumbent players, and how they can sort of, grow here on?
No, sure. I think, and also there's a lot more growing in terms of the overall flight duty time limitations. These aspects have also started to kick in. Is on the shorter term perspective, yes, there is going to be some level of an impact which would be there. But having said that, in the medium term, and as far as the guidance which is given for the overall FY 2025, as we can see, we don't see much of a disruption happening. Also, new entrants like Akasa have ramped up their operations. They've grown significantly well. And also in the flights that they have ordered, which has happened, like Indigo planning to double up its own fleet capacity, Air India on the same heels, having about close to 470 odd aircrafts being ordered. All of these supply-related aspects will also start to come in. We're also seeing a lot more addition in the wide body happening, and hence some level of constraint which is happening because of the flight cancellations will be compensated by higher capacity, which also we expect to grow at about 8 to 10% of larger aircraft coming in.
Mr. Padmanabhan, so then we should not be talking about caps on airfares, etc., right? No need for that. Once in a while, people start talking about it.
No, I'm no one to comment on whether we put across or not, but the demand and supply is quite healthy. And with duopoly being there in the skies just now, and also Akasa coming in through, I think the market forces will even it out. I'm not equipped to comment on the cap on airfares.
Mayur, same question to you. I mean, you heard Mr. Padmanabhan on some of these issues. He says demand is healthy, the supply is also matching it, especially with Akasa coming in and adding capacity. What's your own sense?
We are in a time where demand looks pretty steady. So I think, yes, I'll quite vouch the fact that if you're looking at a 10 to 12% kind of growth, pretty much looks doable at the pace that we are at this point. Supply, I really never thought was an issue in the first place. In fact, for all you know, the industry was always worried that will supply be ahead of demand. So I think at this point in time, this looks pretty sorted. I think more of a worry is, the international things really happening at this point and its impact on crude. So that is where, as an analyst, I'm more worried. Really not worried much on the demand side as such.
Mayur, you've been tracking Indigo for so long, right? I mean, the stock is sitting at a fresh high. Of course, it continues to have market leadership. But now that problems continue with players like Vistara, which was the only strong player, so to speak, in the market at the moment, it seems to be once again in Indigo's favor. Your thoughts on how this is going to play out, both in terms of growth for Indigo as well as yields?
So I think, I've maintained one stand, especially post-COVID, that there has been a lot of discipline in the Indian skies, the kind of pain the aviation industry went through. So despite, everything quite sorting out, we've never seen this airfare war back again. So I think despite crude coming in the correction zone, these guys have made up healthy money. So I want to believe that this continues. Indigo, of course, always stands to gain at anybody else's peril, So, but I really don't say that the issue at Vistara would be a long-stand one. I think a temporary one should give them some advantage. But overall, I still think that the Indian skies are pretty good for all the players who are, at this point in time, making some market share out of it.
Okay, so you're saying Indigo stands to gain, but the issues at Vistara seem to be temporary in nature. Got that? Jagannarayan, I wanted your thoughts on the crude prices because there was a sequential decline. Of course, that had helped the earnings last quarter. But now, once again, with geopolitical tensions rising, crude is back above $90 a barrel. What do you think the ramifications of this would be on the earnings for many of the aviation companies?
Yeah, you're right. I think crude was one of the significant cost component as far as the overall workings of an airline is concerned, and it constitutes close to about upwards of 40%, between 40 and 45%. So any pressure there will have a ramification on the overall workings and the profitability of an airline. But as my colleague just pointed out, the margins for the single largest player is quite healthy at about 24%. Yes, this also, and I think on the pricing part as well, a lot of discipline has been shown by the players. Yes, so if the crude continues to increase, I would stand to believe that they would want to pass this on to the consumer by an increase in the airfare, and they have the ability to pass that on as well. So overall, the impact, if it goes above $100, then it's a different story. But I think as things stand, the VA passing on this benefit, passing on this to the consumer would be there. And second is the margins are quite healthy to absorb it as well.
Okay, the margins are healthy at this point in time to absorb the higher crude prices. Got it. Gentlemen, thanks for joining in and giving us a quick snapshot of what to expect in the aviation industry. Appreciate your time here.